Hey guys, welcome to this video. I'm going to try to get this video done. I've started it probably 4 times now, and it's full moon energy. And so I'm just going to roll with it. If you haven't seen these videos before, welcome. Welcome back if you have. My intention is unity and oneness, highest levels of love light. I'm just going to say, here's an energy update. This is not going to be a light language video, so although I do have a lot of light language that wants to come through right now, which is sometimes just a better way to communicate because the words right now are just sometimes out of reach. Let's talk about that a little bit. So have you guys ever seen a sponge that's full of water and then you just kind of twist it, squeeze it all out, or a towel? It's obviously a rhetorical question. But that's how I feel right now. And I think that's how a lot of us are feeling right now. Very put through the ringer. And I'm not saying this in a negative way. It's just how I feel. Everything that I share is from my perspective and my own experience and what I'm going through. And I like to share what others are going through too, because that's why I do this. I work with others and I have gone through what I've gone through so I could work with others from my perspective. And so I feel that we've had so much going on in such a short amount of time that it's a lot. So pat yourself on the back for surviving. We are in this full moon energy. And from my perspective, I guess the last full moon of the year, the full moon was yesterday. It's, I think, a 13th moon of the year, which is, I think, very symbolic. Not only do we have this full moon, which is an extra moon, basically, I think we had a blue moon, right? 1 month. But we're in these energies that is the ending of one era and the beginning of a new era. And these are merging. It's not, some people, I know this is a common theme. A lot of people are hoping that come January 1st, right, they're going to wake up, rub their eyes, get out of bed, and go, it's a whole new world. It'll be all over. Everything will have been a bad dream. And that would be the end and a brand new beginning. And from my perspective, we're already started the new year. We're already in it. I feel like it began right around Christmas week. It was like I felt the ending and a fresh beginning. It may not feel very fresh right now. And it may not feel as if we have really made it through the muck and the mud. And while that may be true for some people, and while that may be true on a collective scale, having to do with certain stories that have yet to completely play out and dissolve, transform, integrate, whatever words we want to attach to these particular realities that are playing out, we really are in a new energy, and it's simmering right below the surface. We've had the holidays that have come and gone for the most part. We've had all of the events of 2020, now moving into 2021. This full moon represents, again, the ending and the closing out, the release, letting go, water, cleansing, emotions, just flush it out. The giant flush, the royal flush. This is the messages that I was getting all week. However, simultaneously, not separate of, we have a creative force that's right there with that flush. And that's really important from my perspective to recognize, because the old paradigm or the old way was we had to go through things for a really long time in order to process, work through karma, learn who we were, so on and so forth. And from my perspective, so many of us have already been there, done that. That was an old story. That was a recycled pattern that was embedded into our story, our life, our drama that we had to play out over and over and over again. It's not like that anymore. And I know I've said this for a while in that reference to karma and all of that stuff. And that's not what this video is about. I'm just giving a full energy, kind of overlooking all of it. I guess those are the right words. So what happens is we have this overlay, and I was shown, I talked about this in another video, I can't remember which one, but I was shown a tsunami. Like I was seeing dark and light, and again, this isn't bad or good. It's just shadow and light coming together, and I saw it merging and pushing up against one another, and essentially creating, oh, how funny. I'm laughing because I had a beautiful conversation with my sister, Candace. It was very spontaneous and unexpected, and aren't those usually the most magical? And we had been talking, she'd been showing me this mudra that she'd been doing. And we've been talking about the spider, and that's a whole other video. That's the power animal of the week, is spider, tarantula. That's going to take us into a lot of flow. And skunk. Anyways, well, so many. Let's not narrow it down to just one particular animals, which those two don't sound necessarily very sunshine or rainbows, but they're beautiful creatures. Anyways, before I squirrel, I get distracted. Too late. This tidal wave or tsunami of energy, and it's like push, 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 push. And then it's either going to split, which a lot of people have seen that split. I'm seeing it merge. And from this, it's a coming together. It's this, it's this, it's this, it's this, and then it's this to this. That's what I'm seeing. And I know that's a very scientific way of seeing it, describing energy. I was also shown a bubble. I guess it's concave to convex, right? X. Concave is a circle. So we're pushing against this bubble. My friend Candace was talking how she was seeing a fog and she was able to poke it, like push it out wider. I was seeing it as a bubble. I was shown this bubble. I see a lot of things in bubbles. Pushing out. And it was like we went from one bubble, bloop, into another bubble, like cell mitosis almost. You know, you see these cells merge, and then all of a sudden I think I drew this on the whiteboard. So I am going to do a whiteboard video here soon, but I'm not anywhere organized enough right now. So this bubble, we're pushing against it. And as we're pushing against it, this light, dark, shadow, whatever, doesn't, mean it's bad or good. It's expanding. We're creating expansion. And then it's a merge, and then it's a. So we've already exploded. What was the word that was coming through earlier? Plowed. And this is a play on words, I'm sure. Plowed through. So we plowed through this barrier. And now the barrier is just integrating, dissolving, because we're already in a different space. So what happens is, and again, Kathy, thank you for saying this. It feels like the train is lifted off the tracks, right? There's no tracks keeping us on track anymore because there is no on track. It's not about a mission. For some of us, it is. But for many of us, that was what it was about. Now it's just about exploring, creating. And I could say from another perspective, that's what it's always been about. It's never been about a mission. But because of the way things had happened and things had been created from these other frequencies and vibrations that were not in an infinite space, they were creating from a finite experience, people then decided to also co-create from there to balance it out by creating a mission to come in to balance that out. And from this perspective, that creates this rift, right? But then when this merges, we now have even more nutrients, lots of references to neutrinos and stars and neutron stars, and that's what's going on in the cosmos, the macro. But this experience that we're all having together is providing us a stronger bubble of reality and experience that is more fluid. It isn't cracked and crumbling and false like the old grid structure was. This is a living, breathing being that we are all part of from one perspective. And I'm talking a very multi-dimensional, different frameworks here because it's so quantum. It's very difficult right now for many of us to really put into words what we're feeling, what we're seeing, what we're looking for, what we're remembering, because everything we're doing it from a completely different perspective and a completely different place than we were a month ago, truly, let alone 5 years ago. And so we're in this new space. Some people feel lost. Others feel like they've lost something. Maybe it could be that somebody was a healer and now their modality, they don't know if they're doing the right thing, or they don't know what they're supposed to be doing. And this is part of it. This is normal. And I think I mentioned this in one of the videos I deleted or maybe didn't share. But that word is not true, because this is the way it is. The old way was the way that it was. And that old reality of normalcy was based on a lower frequency, a lower bandwidth. And that was a net of normalcy that was keeping everything encased within a bubble of reality that only allowed us to feel, see, hear, do, and operate from and create from that encasement, what was held within that space of reality. But now that we've poked holes through it, right, as Candace has said, through the fog or the spider webs, it's sticky as we get through this. It's felt very sticky because of the web that we've created, or that's been created from these other creators who really just gnarled things up. They just, like Pigpen from Charlie Brown that I've talked about before. It's a lot of yuckiness that we're getting through, and some people were stuck there, and some people are still stuck there, and they're so surrounded by this that they don't see through it. But those of us that do are assisting in dissolving that stickiness that the lower dimensions will say, from a linear perspective, were encased in. Or we could say the certain geometries that were not infinite, again, they were finite. They've ended because they were finite. And now we're going back to the infinite in us. And we're finding this golden spin. And I'm hearing the golden web weavers. We are coming in with our technology, and which is our skin suit, which is our extrasensory abilities, which is our connection to the quantum field, which is our collective collaboration. I could go on and on. That's what we're working with. We're not working from a place of control and lower emotions. We are working from a place of compassion and bliss, harmony. We are still feeling these emotions though, and I'm going to talk about that too. The full moon brings up a lot of emotions, a lot of instability can be felt, partly because we're not on track. We are not on a track that is telling us where to go and how to feel, and it's going to turn right at this time and it's going to turn left at this time. There's no tracks. We're here. Now, that's not to say that there's not been tracks laid out before us to help give us breadcrumbs and guideposts. That's always there. That's part of what these astrological conjunctions are that we've been feeling. They're reminders. Ding, 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 ding. Oh, okay, I'm supposed to be, wow, maybe I should give this a try. That's our guidepost to help push us. Or there's another word that I'm trying to think of right now, but I can't think of it. It's gone. To pull us through this web or this fog or through this stickiness, so to speak, and allow us to stretch ourselves, which many of us feel like we've been wrung out, stretched out, and to push our boundaries, to push our limits so that we can see past this false structure that we've been stuck in, so to speak, or stuck ourselves to, or felt stuck in. And when you peel yourself out of that, when you unstick from that, it's still sticky, still feels, and it feels weird. Some of us feel at a loss for words, literally is what I'm hearing. And that's something else to talk about. Sometimes there are no words for what is being felt, and we don't have to talk about it. We can just feel it. Sometimes it's just about sounds and the energy behind the sounds. It isn't necessarily about the consonants and the vowels. And I'm hearing consequences, right? It's not about that. It's not about the end result. It's about the feeling, because something within us can feel what we're trying to express or what someone else is trying to express through eye contact, through human touch, through sound, through the tonality, through connecting with Mother Nature, through looking at a picture. I could go on and on. Our extrasensory abilities are kicking in on all of this, on our way of communication. And so what happens is our points of reference of what we would usually map into or tie ourselves to aren't there anymore, because the map has completely remapped. We are rewriting the system. And as we rewrite a system, there is not really a baseline for what that system should be, because it's a new system, if that makes sense. And so this is where another message I was shown was leaders. Now, I've had dreams, a lot of dreams this week about just everything changing. Let go of the baggage was one of the biggest messages, whatever that baggage might be. It could be a person, a place, a thing, a belief, right? An item, a piece of clothing. It could be a feeling or an emotion that we've been dragging with us about a particular situation. Anything, and I kind of just jumped to a different subject, but anything that is exposed on this lens, this concave that's been hidden in the cave, is now expanding out, inside out. And everything that was in here is coming out to play, to be played with, to be transformed, to be integrated. And as this comes out, what was inside, and I should draw this, but if you picture a bubble within a bubble within a bubble, and then picture this all expanding out and then flipping inside out, think about all of the stuff that was held within there can now be free to be let go, full moon, to be felt, to be used to create. And now there's all of this space with no encapsulation, so to speak. That's the right word. We're not encapsulated like we were. And it's like, whoa, now what do I do? Where's my bubble? And that's what a lot of people are feeling, and they just don't understand and can't explain what it is, because we're in a completely different reality. Everybody's bubbles are a little different, and some people are still encased, yes. However, they don't have to be. I was shown this, so back to the teachers. Some people are looking to others who were world leaders, who were teachers, who were scientists. And this has been a message I've been getting for a really long time, that the mathematics aren't right, because the old mathematics were based on a reality in a universe, on an old program that was programmable. This is us rewriting. So we're expanding at such a rapid pace that science can't keep up, because science is based on an old mathematical system. Some of it is true still, not all of it is not accurate, but some of the things that we have based our reality on and what we think is real is now no longer applicable, because the application has changed, because what they're applying it to has changed. The medium is different. You know, it's like going from an oil painting to a watercolor painting, I guess, or going from clay, working with clay, to working with oil paint. Totally different medium. It's not going to have the same mathematical composition. It's not going to have the same feel. It's not going to have the same, it's completely different. And this is the message that I've been getting. I was also shown that many of us, it's like we've somehow broken the sound barrier. And this is something I have to explore a little deeper. Obviously, we've already broken that through technology, but something about our placement in the solar system and us as beings, we've burst through this sound barrier. Here, now we're doing it somehow. And this can make us feel like we've gone through the ringer. I was shown, like, what would it feel like if you went Mach speed? What do you feel like afterwards? How does it feel when you're stretched, when you've been in outer space, and then you come back into this body, for example? How would that feel? That would feel really weird, I would imagine. That's kind of what I feel like, though. And, ooh, thank you, buddy. Better close this. Hold on. I can't pause. Thank you. We're being activated at an exponential rate. Our bodies are shifting. A lot of people have gone through a lot of physical upgrades, which means physical symptoms. Crown tingles, lights flashing, things out of the corner of our eyes. I will go back to some meditations that I had again. I saw some pretty gnarly things, and I was really guided to just accept it. Not like in the same sense of what some people think, oh, just accept it and move on. No, I mean, see it and view it and acknowledge it. And as soon as I acknowledged it and didn't come from a place of, I mean, I didn't not judge it, because I would see these things and they were kind of weird looking creatures that were coming up. And as soon as I acknowledged them, rather than coming from a place of fear or, ew, you're disgusting, or you're wrong, or shaming these beings that were pretty gnarly, I just witnessed from a place of neutrality. And not to say that I was 100% neutral. I have moments where I'm like, what was that? That was kind of creepy. But then I recognized I just called that creepy. And what if I'm the person that looks weird to them? And I'm talking about beings that are ancient energies, that are a coagulation of different, it's hard to explain from a linear perspective, but we'll just say, what would you do if you saw someone who was half lizard, half human, or part bat, part human? I mean, wouldn't that be a little bit weird? And would you walk right up to it and be like, hey, how's it going? Let's hang out. Obviously, that might be a little freaky to see, because that's not something we walk down the street and see all the time. Not all of us do. Maybe some of us do that because we have that sight. And that was a really good test. I don't even want to call it a test. It was a good opportunity for me to be exposed to these beings and to really just sit with that and be okay with how I felt in response to seeing these other entities is the only way I can describe it. And that's, I just went a little galactic there, or ancient ancestors kind of route, but that's where some people are at right now. Some people are starting to see their ancestors and it might freak them out a little bit. Some people are starting to see all kinds of things that would seem abnormal to them. But again, it's an inverted, it's been flipped inside out, and now we're seeing what's been hidden. Everything's been under here, and now it's like, here's reality. We were in the Truman Show, and now we have burst through the dome, and ooh, it's a great big wide galaxy, universe, cosmos, multiverse, so on and so forth. And it isn't what people have told us, because they, I'm hearing that movie, you can't handle the truth. Anyways. And there are some that are really having challenging times processing this. Some people aren't processing it. Some people are going back into denial. Everybody is on their own journey. And that's where those of us that are aware of what's going on can help support. We're the support grid. We're the support network. We are not only helping support our brothers and sisters by providing space for them to have their experience, perhaps providing a little knowledge or insight, should that be something that would benefit the greater good in do no harm and all of that. But we're also supporting each other by talking about these things. Synchronicities are huge right now. Are we paying attention? Because they're so, for me, if I'm not having synchronicities, I know it's because I'm not paying attention. I'm focused on something too much, or not focused enough. So it's, again, finding that space. And I'm just going to kind of end on this note because I could keep going. I know there's some pertinent subjects that I've probably missed, but I'll have to get back to that at a later date. Time is different. What used to take hours to get through, we look at the clock and it's already gone, or vice versa. For myself, it's going a lot faster in general. We really are manifesting much faster, but we're also clearing and letting go a lot faster. So I'm going to bring it all the way back around to this full moon. We're still in these energies. Do your ritual, do your ceremony. What we're doing when we do that is we're creating focused intent. And that focused intent, I had the blessing of being able to experience this beautiful full moon meditation with one of my dear sisters, Becca, and some of her friends that I've now made my friends. And it was really a very cool experience. It wasn't a huge group of people. It was a very small group of women. And we celebrated clearing and releasing. Okay, this is the pertinent thing I wanted to share. And then I'll end on this note. Everybody was experiencing something different in their lives, as we all are. Most of us had all experienced something major this year. And we all had similar things that we wanted to let go of and release and clear. Even though we all, somebody would want to clear something, we'd be like, yes, that's great. And I want to clear this. Me too. And let's clear this. Totally. So we're all going through it. And it was really interesting to express this and experience and feel comfortable being able to talk about it, but not in a complaining sort of way, because recognizing that we are letting go and integrating much faster, and I kind of started to talk about this earlier in the video, but we're also creating much faster. So if we can let go of something and integrate it, and when I say let go, it doesn't mean pretend that it didn't or doesn't exist. If it's showing up for us as a pattern, it's usually showing up for us for a reason. Sometimes it's showing up for us as the same pattern that we've been experiencing over and over again, so that we have the opportunity, like I mentioned earlier, to see it from a different angle, to see it from a different perspective. We turn and look and go, oh, I didn't see it from this perspective the last time this happened. And then once we've seen it from all angles, or the old paradigm was learned our lesson, or the old paradigm was worked off that karma, or the old paradigm was obviously I'm doing something wrong, otherwise this wouldn't be showing up for me. No, maybe it's just showing up for you so you can be more neutral and make a different decision moving forward. So now you're being shown it from a completely different perspective because you're a completely different person experiencing a similar circumstance from a different angle. So it could be, what haven't I learned? Or it could be, what have I learned from this? Wow, I've learned a lot. I think I'm ready to move on. And not getting angry with that or the person or the situation, and not being afraid to let it go, because sometimes people are afraid to let these constant dramas or karmas or obligations or circumstances, they're afraid to let it go because it's been such a big part of their life. They've created it and made it into a habit pattern that they feel like, why can't I let this go? Why does this keep coming up? Because sometimes people are continuously creating it because of choices that they're making to keep them in the same habit pattern, because that is a form of safety. And I could go on and on with these different angles or perspectives. So, what is this particular person, place, or thing? What did they provide for me? What did this job provide for me? What did I learn from this? And wow, what did I not like about it the most? So why do I keep creating this? Because that puts it on us and we take responsibility. However, we're not saying, well, I created this, therefore I deserve this, or this is a karma that I haven't resolved. That is more of a victim mode. And blaming it on karma is sometimes a way of deflecting it and not acknowledging that, no, I created this because it's a habit pattern and it's something that I have to choose, and I choose now to stop doing. And then that opportunity won't show up for us again. It won't present itself. We will get that right job or meet that right person or have that correct conversation and not stick our foot in our mouths or whatever it might be about the same subject over and over and over again. And in addition to that, then that lets go of the baggage. That lets go of the baggage of karma. It lets go of the baggage of a particular person that we think we have to attach ourselves to, or situation, or location, or family member, so on and so forth. That's all baggage. And that baggage is not only those particular people in our lives, but there are the feelings and the beliefs connected to those people, and the emotional trauma that we keep creating every time we relive that experience. So that's a really important subject I really wanted to delve into a little deeper from my perspective. And then as we're given these opportunities to see that, it integrates it and clears it. The work is done. We don't have to create it again in order to continuously create more work for ourselves. Oh, the work's not done. I still need to clear this. If you keep saying that, the work still presents itself so that you still need to clear it because you feel like the work isn't done. And this can go into so many different subjects. So we're really being invited to let that shit go, right? Like, what is it that why is this showing up for me again and again and again? And really break it down, integrate it, not ignoring it and going, oh, here we go again. It is what it is. It is what it is a very powerful statement, but it can also be very disempowering. It depends on the context that we're using it again. Are we using it in, using it again and again and again? Are we using it as an excuse, right? Blaming it on that, on destiny or fate? Or are we saying, oh, it is what it is, and why is it this? And sometimes, again, it's not about dissecting it. It's just about acknowledging it. Oh, this is showing up for me. Wow, okay, isn't this interesting? Who does this belong to? Right? My friend Kat taught me this a long time ago, and I love it. I've used it for years now. And it's more of, am I owning this? Is this the carry of now that's attaching this? Or is this the past version of me from an old paradigm that I'm still trying to drag with me into the next paradigm because I'm too afraid to let it go? Because that would mean that I'm free. And if I'm free, that means I don't have any work to do. I just had this amazing session again with another light worker who's experiencing this as well. This is kind of a common theme for light workers, especially because we feel like the work is never done. And while that is true to a certain extent and from a certain perspective, what is it that we're considering and calling work? So experience is never done. And if we're choosing to experience it again and again, maybe we're doing that for a reason. What's the reason? Let's start to take responsibility and not blame it on all of these other things. And that's a big subject that's been coming up. Whew, this is the longest video I've done in a while, and I'm going to kind of end on that note. I could talk about so much more, and I thank you guys so much for your patience. In love and light, guys. This is something that we really are going through so much together, even though it can feel so isolated at times. And really, if anything I can do to remind you guys of the fact that we're all, that's a catchy phrase that we're all hearing, oh, we're all in this together. No, it's an individual experience. We're not all going through the same things, but we are all going through something in our own way. And pockets of us are going through very similar things. And those pockets of us are our peeps. And part of this is about just holding space for ourselves and allowing ourselves to just kind of clear the complexity, even though I get really complex. I say keep it simple, and then I go into this quantum field of explanation that sometimes is confusing. But in the simplest form is the formless. In form. I mean, it's simple. It really is. We complicate things. And that helps us, I feel, sometimes to substantiate, to make things more substantial, to make things more concrete, which is a density factor. So we can ask ourselves, what are we complicating in our lives? What are we overcomplicating? What are we creating that is creating density around a particular subject, around a particular belief about us? Because once we can let that go, it can be a little scary, because it does feel very free, and we can feel like, ooh, where'd our security blanket go? All right, now I'm gonna end. How many times have I said that? I could just keep going and going. All right, in love and light, guys, thank you so much. Namaste. Whoops, I don't have a